Let's see. I am hoping I am live. I should be live in Allison's group, I believe. Let's see. Did this work? Yes, it is working. I can see myself on my phone. Okay. Hello, hello, hello. It is not quite 2 o'clock, but I am doing this live through Zoom. So I am going to just wait a second. Oh, it's 2 o'clock now. Okay. So I am going to get started. My name is Robin Graham. I am a brand marketing strategist. I am a personal branding coach, host of the Second Phase podcast, and a headshot and branding photographer. That's a mouthful, I know. But at the end of the day, what I do is help female entrepreneurs like you build brands. And Allison asked me to come on today to share with you all about my 5 C's that I use as the basis for building a personal brand. These are tips, hints, strategies that you can employ in your brand or your business to create a personal brand that is going to stand out, make an impact, but most importantly, connect with your ideal audience. So let's get started. And if you have any questions whatsoever, I have my phone up. So if you see me looking to the side, I'm looking to the side because I'm checking the comments in on my phone. So if you have questions, please just drop them in the comments and I will see them and I will address them as they come in or at the end of the presentation. So let's get started. So the first C, or actually, I'm going to give you a list of the C's first, and then we'll dive into each one individually. But we have clarity. If you want to take notes, I'll go slow. And then I'm sure the replay will be up for Allison and, or that Allison will leave the replay up. So as she leaves that up, you'll be able to replay it and watch it and take notes if you missed something. But those 5 C's that we're going to really focus today on are clarity, cohesive, consistent, content, and community. And if you always keep these 5 words in mind, you're going to be able to stand firm in your brand and your brand messaging to really build connection. And connection is key with your ideal audience. So let's dive into clarity. When I talk about clarity, I'm talking about you being 100% absolutely clear on what you do, what the problem is that you solve for your ideal audience. You don't only want to be clear on the problem that you solve for your ideal audience, but you also want to be absolutely clear on who you solve a problem for. Who is your ideal audience? You need to know them so detailed that you know their name. You can actually name them and visualize them so that when you are sharing your messages, telling the world what you do, how you do it, the problem that you solve for people, you are speaking directly to your ideal audience. You can visualize that one person that you want your message to resonate with. Sorry, that was a mouthful. So that's our key. That is the key with clarity. You want to know absolutely 100% what you do and the problem you solve for the people that you're going to solve the problem for. And you want to know exactly who those people are. The reason being, as we go through this list of C's, we want to be able to really focus our messaging and our content on those people so that the right people hear our message, it resonates with them, and they're going to learn what we do, connect with us, and know that we're talking to them so that they know they can hire us and that we will solve their problem. If we are just generalizing our messages and they are not clear, and we're not speaking directly and clearly to our ideal audience, we're going to have an influx of customers, clients that we don't necessarily want. And at the end of the day, when that happens, we're frustrated. We're frustrated because we have people calling us and we can't really solve the problem that they have. There's been a miscommunication and everybody's frustrated. They're demanding you to do one thing and you don't have that in your wheelhouse, but somehow they landed on your website or they came to you because they thought they heard you say you could solve their problem for them. So you want to be absolutely clear, not only to have good messaging, but also to save frustration. The next word we're going to talk about is cohesive. And when we talk about cohesive, it's kind of broad spectrum. It's not just being cohesive in one area, but we want to be cohesive across the board. So we're talking about the look and feel of our brands. We're talking about the messaging we're putting out, the copy we're putting out. We're talking about not only our written copy, but our visual content as well. So as we move through cohesive, we're going to think about our website first. What does our website look like? What does it feel like? What are the brand colors that we've used? What is the mood that we've created with our brand? And then we're going to take that information and we're going to apply it to every platform that we're on. So we're going to start with our website, and then we want to build a cohesive feel and cohesive messaging from our website to all of our social media platforms. So that includes Pinterest, that includes, this is so funny, I'm getting like all these messages, I don't know why. It's like from my daughter's English class or something. I don't know what's happening. Anyway, sorry for that little distraction. Real world here with virtual learning. Anyway, back to cohesive. We're going to be, I don't feel like my life is cohesive right now, just with all the hullabaloo with online schooling, virtual schooling and such. But anyway, so back to cohesive. So we're going to start with the website, and we're going to create the same look and feel with our messaging and our visual content over onto our social media platforms, whether you're on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, using LinkedIn as a search engine tool, and Pinterest, even YouTube, your graphics on the cover art of any of your videos. All of those things should have a consistent and cohesive feel and flow. Part of being cohesive is making sure, making sure that your audience can recognize you, you become memorable, and when you're memorable and recognizable, you become shareable. And that's our end goal, right? We want to make sure that people get to know us, like us, trust us, and then they're going to start sharing us. They're going to refer us. They're going to believe in everything that we're putting out because we have been cohesive. Cohesive aligns with consistent. And consistent is the next word that we're going to talk about. So when we talk about being consistent, we're talking about the type of content that we're putting out. We're still talking about that cohesive look and feel of our brand. So when we are cohesive, we are consistent for the most part, but where consistency gets a little bit different is in the type of content that we're putting out, the volume of content that we're putting out, how many times a week we're showing up. So let's talk a little bit about being consistent in terms of the content. We want the look and feel, again, to be consistent, cohesive and consistent. We want that again, so that we become so recognizable that we're memorable. People immediately come to our website, and this is a good example for you. I had reached out to someone a couple of days ago. I had had several people pitch me for podcast guests, right? A PR firm. Well, I happen to be connected to this PR firm on Instagram, and they have the owner. I sent in a message to, I would just get in more information. They had like an information questionnaire on their website to see if you would be aligned to working with them. So I fill this out. I immediately get an email back, and the woman who owns the company says to me, "Oh my gosh, Robin, I recognized you right away." And I was like thinking to myself, wow, how? And then I read the rest of her message, and she's like, "This is a perfect example of great branding. Your image and your messaging is the same on your website and your Instagram. I've connected with you on Instagram, and everything flows. Great example of branding." So that is really, really important, because you don't want to have one message or one image or whatever on your, say, Instagram. We'll use that as an example right now on Instagram, but something completely different on your website. You want to have your image. So say it's a professional headshot, which at a minimum, if you are a person who owns a business, you need to have a professional headshot. Here's the reason why. You want to be consistent and cohesive How are you going to be able to do that if your face is nowhere to be found? So you want to have a professional headshot of you showing that you're professional, really bringing out your personality. So your eyes, your smile, everything is there so people can build an emotional connection with you. And you want to have that on the homepage of your website, on your about page of your website, and maybe it's 2 different headshots, maybe there's some branding photography in there, but at a minimum, you need at least 1 professional headshot. And then you want to have that same headshot on your Instagram, on your Facebook profile, on your LinkedIn profile, on your Pinterest profile, everywhere that you are, including YouTube, to make sure that you are recognizable. And like I said, when you're recognizable, you're memorable. And the more consistent you are with the images you use so that people can find you and identify you and recognize you, the more memorable you're going to become, which means people are going to trust you, and then they will become a referral source for you. The next C outside of consistent is content. And when we talk about content, I've kind of alluded to this. We have content that is visual as well as written. And when we're talking about our content, we want that messaging, and see how these words all tie back together. We want that messaging to be cohesive and consistent. And this is going to loop all the way back to clarity, because when we have clarity, we're going to build confidence. When we're clear, we're confident in what we do, how we do it, and the way we communicate what we do. We have confidence in all of that. When we have confidence, we trust ourselves more. When we trust ourselves more, our audience is going to trust us more. When there's trust, there's connection. How are we going to build all those things? How are we going to communicate our clarity on what we do so that our audience can understand that, feel our confidence, start to trust us, and connect with us so that we can build genuine relationships with them? And those genuine relationships will convert to sales, right? To getting the clients. So that is going to be through our content, through all of our messaging. And all of that messaging is going to be the same across all of your platforms. Now, you're going to say it creatively in different ways at different times, that depending on how you show up, how often you show up. You're going to present yourself, though, so that in any form of content, visual or written, it all is cohesive, it's all consistent, and it all flows back to that fact that you are clear on exactly what you do and the problem that you solve for your ideal audience. Now, when we're talking about putting content out into the world, we're going to have content copy on our website. And that copy on our website is going to communicate what our services are. It's going to tell the world a little bit about us, and it's going to tell the world what we do and how we do it so that they know what we do. Then we're going to talk about our social media platforms and creating content there. Now, we want to be consistent with how often we show up on social media. You cannot show up on social media once a month and expect people to get to know you, like you, and trust you. It just doesn't work that way. I'm not saying you have to be there every day. Now, Allison is there 5 days a week minimum on Instagram, and she is putting forth so much valuable information every single time she shows up. I, on the other hand, am only there maybe 3-4 times a week. I just tend to focus my energy on other things. And there's nothing wrong with either way you do it. You can show up once a week. You could write a blog post once a week, and that could be your means of showing up. You could send an email out to your email list once a week. You could send an email out to your email list once a month. The important thing is that you are consistent in showing up and producing content that educates, that entertains, and provides value and inspiration. So as long as you're putting that content there and people can understand what you're doing and be clear on your messaging through that content, you don't have to show up every single day. But you want your audience to know that you are there for them. You are going to show up for them. You're going to help them along their journey, and you're going to provide value for them. So one of the best ways to do that, I think, is through email marketing. That's something that we own. Now, Allison is a wealth of information for Instagram, and I do love Instagram, but at the same time, I don't own Instagram. So if I lose Instagram, what am I going to do? So for me, showing up in my email at least twice a month is key for me. And that just keeps me front and center with my audience. So every single time I send an email out, there's that little ring, that little memory that, oh shoot, she's there. And I guarantee you, people are having conversations about the problem that you solve for other people. And if they're having those conversations and you have just emailed them and given them a tidbit of information about that problem, they're going to remember that, and that becomes a referral source. So show up. If you're going to choose to use one platform, use email and build your list through putting out content, free content, lead magnets, so that people will be able to sign up, subscribe for your email list, and then you constantly have that. So that's one thing to do as far as content goes, and being consistent with your content. The other thing is blog posts. Blog posts on your website are so powerful because of search engine optimization. And you absolutely need to understand search engine optimization and use it. Use your keywords, use your key phrases, and use those URLs to your advantage, because then you're going to be able to drive traffic to your website. Showing up on Pinterest is another key place to show up consistently, because the more you show up, the more content you put out, the more traffic you're going to drive to your website. Okay. So that's consistency and that's content. But most importantly, when you're thinking of content, you want to be consistent, being clear, consistent, and cohesive with your messaging, and then be consistent with how frequently you're putting content out into the world. But make sure that it is valuable, that it's either entertaining, educating, or inspiring. And then last but not least is community. This is a perfect example of building community. Allison has her group. I have my group, which is the Brand Marketing Insider, which I would encourage you to go join. We talk all about branding and all the different tools that you can use to brand yourself. And, you know, I go live and I give you opportunities to represent yourself and your business as well. But most importantly, the groups on Facebook are a sense of community. They're building community. Now, I briefly mentioned your email list. One way to tap into community as a resource for you and to use it to grow your business is to start your email list using the email addresses that you have. Maybe it's through your children's sports. Maybe it's through former jobs. Maybe it is just friends and family. But whatever that list of email addresses is that you have, start there with people that you want to know about your business, who might know someone else who has the problem that you solve, or who themselves may have the problem that you're going to solve for them. Start there. When you start building your email list, and using the community that you already have in place, it's going to expand from there. The important thing is to always, always, always give them an opt-out. When you send that first email, if you don't already have an email list, give them the opportunity, say, if you're not interested in receiving notifications from me, feel free to unsubscribe. No hard feelings. Just let them know that up front. Most likely they're going to stay on your list because they're curious. They want to know what you're doing, what you're up to, but it's a great way to stay in touch with your community and then help use your community to spread the word about what you're doing and how you're helping other people or could help them. And then build your community also on social media. You don't want to just post and then leave. What is it? I think Allison says post and ghost, but you don't want to do that. You want to use these opportunities to build relationships. The more you communicate, engage with other people and build your community, you're going to have more genuine relationships. And when you have more genuine relationships, you're building trust, which will then help convert to clients. Whether that is through building relationships for collaboration opportunities, like what Allison and I are doing here. And then, you know, she's going to speak in my group next week. So it's that collaboration, help support each other, introduce yourself, you know, to other people, collaborate. So then they introduce you to other people and vice versa. Be there and be present for other people to build your community. Comment on their posts. I know Allison talks about this a lot as far as Instagram goes. Don't just put an emoji. That doesn't even count as a comment on Instagram. So use your gifts of wisdom and tap into that to write a quick comment, just so that you become more recognizable and memorable, and people will be ready and willing to build those relationships with you. And then as far as community goes, I briefly mentioned collaboration. That's so very important, but just constantly be interacting with people to continuously build that community. And the more community you build, the more connections you have, and the more conversion you have. So as you can see, there's a plethora of C words that actually fall into my 5 C's of personal branding, but that's basically a summary of all of them. You want to, let's start it, we'll just do a quick review. You want to have complete clarity so that you can have complete confidence and then complete connection. And then from there, you're going to be cohesive, you're going to be consistent, you're going to create content that is all 3 of those things: clear, concise, cohesive, and consistent. And then you're going to create your content so that your messaging is also clear and cohesive and consistent, and educational, entertaining, but always valuable. And then you're going to have your community. Most importantly, show your personality throughout all 5 of these traits. You want to make sure that people really understand who you are, what you're like, how you do the things that you do, why you do the things that you do. Let them truly get to know your authentic self so that those genuine relationships just build one after another after another. Okay, I'm going to take a quick look at the comments and see what we have. Genuine relationships just build. And of course, you can hear me talking again. Let me turn that down. Let's see. Hey, Allison, thank you so much for having me. This was awesome. I'm really looking forward to getting to know more of your community. And thank you for putting my group there. Hi, Sophia. Allison saying, preach, girl. Yeah, obviously we're so on the same page when all of this, when it comes to branding and building those relationships. And, you know, we're a perfect example of that. We met, I think we connected maybe through being on Steph Gass's podcast and seeing each other's episodes maybe. And then I think here's where commenting on social media is advantageous. I think Allison saw a comment that I put on Jasmine Star's post, and she reached out to me after that. And from there, we've just built a relationship. So we're kind of each other's go-to. I ask her questions, she asks me questions, we hold each other accountable. So these are the type of relationships that you really want to build when you're working on social media and even, you know, communicating and engaging in Facebook groups to build your community. Okay, let's see. Love connecting with my followers on Instagram. Isn't it amazing? It's so much fun. And you really can build relationships that last a lifetime. I've now met some of the people that I've met on Instagram. I've met them live in person, and that was really cool. Let me just see if there's any more questions. Me too, Allison. Now we're text buddies too. We should be communicating more in our DMs, then we get more points, right? In the algorithm. Okay, if nobody has any more questions, I think I will sign off, but you know where to find me. You can find my website at therobingraham.com. I'm on Instagram as The Robin Graham. I'm here on Facebook as The Robin Graham. And then my Facebook group is the Brand Marketing Insider. Allison put the link in the comments. Thank you so much, Allison, for doing that. And then, of course, I'm on Pinterest and Twitter and LinkedIn and everywhere else as well. But I would love for you to join my group, stay in touch with me there, or find me on Instagram. Also, if you have any questions about personal branding, I do have some resources on my website. If you just go to www.therobingraham.com/resources, you can download some free gifts there that will help you with, what are the components of a personal brand. There is a lookbook for personal branding. If you haven't done professional personal branding photography, there is a resource guide there for that, what to look for to hire a photographer, and a shot list recommendations for you. And then there's also a smartphone photography for business guide that you may really appreciate if you don't have a budget for professional photography right now. There are tips and tricks and tools and all kinds of recommendations for capturing really good photos, even if they're not professional, that at least represent your brand in a positive light. So feel free to go there and download any of those as well. So you guys, thank you so much for being here. I look forward to getting to know all of you. And Allison, thank you for having me. Everybody have a great afternoon. Mwah.